subscribers. I am so excited to be back with you. Today I'm going to be delivering a very special pick card. This is a viewer suggestion, and I'm going to be tapping into the energy of the stars to deliver messages of healing and guidance for you guys. And welcome if this is the first time you're joining me. My name is Odessa. I'm the Mystic Intuitive Healer, and I deliver messages through the cards for you guys to help you awaken, heal, align, and grow. So I'm tapping into the energy of the stars because in many cultures, the stars are associated with our ancestors. So that could be loved ones that you knew in this life that have crossed over. This could be past life loved ones. This could even be ancestors and loved ones from other solar systems. So we'll see what comes through the cards. I have 3 piles for you guys to select from. Each of these initial piles has a general message of healing and guidance, and then I have 3 more decks where I'm going to narrow down how you can release guilt, shame, and self-blame. So you'll get a message about each of those in each pile. So pile number 1 is partnered with clear quartz and this milkweed pod. Now, when I picked this pod, it was closed, and then I put it near the heater and it burst open, and I thought it was so fuzzy and cute. I've been trying to pack all of the milkweed back in because it's literally getting everywhere. You guys would laugh at me if you saw me trying to prepare the piles. And then pile number 2 is partnered with heat-treated citrine, and then this dried rosemary, and there's a little bit of milkweed on this one as well. And then pile number 3 is partnered with carnelian, and this amazing seed pod. I got this off of a tree. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like modern art. I just absolutely love it. So I'm going to give you guys a close-up of the cards and the items in just a moment, and I'll see you at your pile. Hi, pile number 1, welcome back. So you picked the clear quartz and the milkweed, and in case you missed the intro, I am delivering healing guidance from the stars. So this includes your ancestors from this life, past lives, possibly even star ancestors. These cards are going to give me a general message about healing for you, and then I'm going to dive into other decks so I can get you really clear guidance on how you can release guilt, shame, and self-blame. And then, of course, I have a final message for you. So let's see what your general healing message is. So you received the empty room, starseed elemental, nice. So we are talking to your star ancestors. Dagger, fear, worries, tense situations. Cat, a two-faced friend. Skull, hidden secrets can harm you. Falcon, act on the opportunity that's before you and commit to it without evocation. Pillar of light, your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. Rebel, light attributes, challenges authority to affect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Shadow attributes, rejects legitimate authority out of anger, rebels out of peer pressure or fashion. Virgin, light attribute, maintains symbolic purity of heart and spirit. Shadow attribute, fear of intimate union. All right, pile number 1. So what is coming forward in the cards is that you are a star seed. You may or may not resonate with that term right now. You may have star origins that come from various dimensions or lineages, or that might be something that you ease into later on as you grow in your understanding of self. I would say that you're most likely an empath and read energy. This might be a situation where you're able to read the thoughts and feelings of other people around you, and that might have been a really great skill for you because it definitely seems like you've been around some really difficult people in the past. This might also be a situation where it's beyond just reading people's, sort of their own energy. This might be a situation where you're able to read the energy of plants around you, or what animals are feeling and thinking, or you can read the energy of crystals really easily. You can sense the energy of a particular room. If there's been some sort of conflict, even if the people have departed the room, you can still feel the tension in the air. Or you can pick up on the energy of experiences that have taken place in a space years and years before, like historical situations that have unfolded. You can sort of still pick up on the residual energy of that space. Or you have clairtangency, where you can like pick up an object and you can feel or read information about the person that owned it before you, or the person that held it last. All of that is possible. And it feels to me like you likely are able to utilize these skills to not only anticipate people's needs, but this might be something that you're able to really harness in the future to manifest the things that you want. You're definitely being described as the pillar of light. So you're anchoring the light. You are helping people to raise their vibration. And it is something that you decided to do on a soul level. You volunteered to come in and play a particular role and to help people see things from a higher perspective and potentially give them insight. You might literally be doing spiritual or psychic work that's helping people to make wise decisions. This might be a situation where you have incarnated into a family that has a really dark history. There's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of fear and worry. There might have been situations where people were backstabbing or quite two-faced. And I think that it's resulted in intergenerational trauma, where people experience pain and they don't face that pain or heal that pain, and then they make decisions with their own children from a place of pain. So they are inadvertently traumatizing their children, who then potentially take on the same role and repeat the same pattern. And it can sort of feel like a family curse, and it's just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse because our thoughts become things. So if we're at a low vibration, typically that affects how we're thinking and feeling, and then that magnetizes more toxic things to us. And you know, we're all at different points of the same path. So you might have incarnated into a family of people that I describe as young souls, and I don't mean that in a judgmental way at all, but they're still working through their own sense of ego, and they may make very selfish decisions. You may have also been around a lot of people that are even more than just being selfish. They're narcissistic, or even like family members might have traits of psychopathy, where they don't necessarily see people as independent, that have feelings and thoughts and emotions that need to be respected, and they see people more as like objects, or you know, a means to an end, like a way of a vehicle to get something that they want. And that's unfortunate, but you as a starseed have the ability to be able to have a dramatic impact on that family, even vibrationally, and shift the tide. And it's a huge responsibility, and most starseeds are in this position where they have been placed into a family where they're entirely different from the rest of the family. You know, like you're the counterbalance, helping to raise the vibration for a family that has a very low vibration. And of course, you are the odd man out. They likely see you as the black sheep of the family and may have ostracized you or blamed you for a lot. And then you ended up being or feeling all alone. Like you don't relate to anyone, no one gets you. And it might have even been compounded because it might not just be you not relating to the people in your family. Like you have different way of thinking and feeling. You're the rebel, and they like, I'll judge you for that. But you might have had other elements of your storyline that make it even more unique and different. You might have a different sexual orientation than your family wants to accept, or different political beliefs, or different religious beliefs, or you want to, express yourself authentically in a way that they don't like. You might be someone who's very open and you want to share emotions, and they're like, no hugs, please. We don't tell each other that we love each other. And that's very uncomfortable for you. Or you want to share ideas, and they're like very closed off, and they don't want to talk about anything at all. Like they don't want to seek knowledge and educate themselves. You just don't feel like you're from here, and you're not. You have soul origins that come from somewhere else, where you might have only existed in an energy body, and the idea of being in a physical body is foreign to you. And then the idea or the concept that we actually are independent seems like, even if it's not conscious to you, it's laughable. It's almost like two blood cells arguing with each other, that they're one or more of them is more right or has more authority and more power, when from the scientist perspective, looking at the blood cells under a microscope, recognizes that they're all part of the same bloodstream, they're all in the same body, right? Like you are the scientist in that scenario, right? And they're one of the two blood cells arguing. It's silly to you, but you might not be able to change their opinion, and that might be causing you a lot of pain. And to a certain degree, there's a lot of trauma that you have to endure so that you can finally have epiphanies and change the way you approach things, right? Like you have to walk through the darkness to be able to help recognize the way out, and that's how you help usher other people through the darkness. Maybe not your family members. Maybe you learn how to walk out of the darkness and you end up starting a program, or you become a teacher or a coach, and you help other people that are willing to do the work, right? Because healing is work. It sucks. It totally sucks. But it does require effort. And I think that you've gone through your own transformation, and there might be a certain amount of pain that's residual from that as well. Like you might have had a little bit of pain associated with the fact that you also have duality within you. There have likely been situations in the past where you've been rebellious and you made the wrong decisions, or you hurt people's feelings, or you were just being rebellious for the sake of being rebellious. Like playing music you knew your parents would hate, or dating people that you knew that they wouldn't like, just to get under their skin. That's one example. And you look back at that and you feel shame or guilt, or you just judge yourself harshly as a result of that. And then in a way you allow that to cancel out all the good, because you making the wrong decisions in the past doesn't negate the fact that you're making the right decisions now, or you have the potential to make the right decisions now, right? We all have to experience the duality of life. That's why we're here in this realm. It's all about that contrast. And you're basically holding yourself up to such a high standard that you're being too harsh with yourself. You are not able to see the beauty and the purity, because all you're focusing on is the failures or the perceived flaws and mistakes that you've made. And I think that you're more harsh with yourself than maybe you are with other people, but partially it might be because these other people have used those flaws or that shadow side of yourself against you to silence you. It's like, basically the pot calling the kettle black. was their approach. Like, how can you say that about me when you've done X, Y, and Z? And it might be a situation where they will bring up some mistake you made 5, 10, 15 years after it happened. And they bring it up because they know it will silence you because it still hurts. And I think that this is something that your ancestors would really like you to start working on. They would like you to see yourself with compassion, to understand that you're on a quest. You have a special purpose here, but just because you are a special soul, that you're high vibrational, doesn't mean that you'll be perfect. It doesn't mean you'll never make mistakes. You're gonna go on a journey where you progress. Like, you're on a quest. So when I say, like, you're special and you're here to see the light and you're gonna help guide people out of the darkness and all this stuff, it might sound like this epic quest, because it is. You're on the hero's journey, and you're gonna apply it to your life in a way that roots it into the physical. So it won't sound like, like you're battling the Hydra, but in a way you really are. You're slaying all of those heads. You're cutting them off one by one. And eventually you're going to figure out how to, either kill or tame the beast. And you need to understand that every single person who has achieved greatness and really helped seed the light and bring us towards a place of enlightenment also had their shadow side. My guides bring this up all the time. And partially it's because I grew up in a Christian home, so I know a lot about the Bible. I am open to all faiths. I see beauty in all teachings. But one of the things that my guides constantly remind me of are the passages in the Bible where Jesus is literally losing his shit. Like, going into the temple and flipping tables over because he doesn't like that they're gambling in the temple on the Sabbath. I get why he's upset, but, that is showing a version of him or an aspect of him where he isn't using his emotion regulation, or getting mad and really losing it on the apostles when he's in the Garden of Gethsemane because he wanted them to stay awake with him all night and they fell asleep. He recognized the fact that being part of the human race means that we are flawed. And that's why, and if you don't believe in the Bible or Jesus or anything that I'm saying, that's totally fine. You don't have, I'm just using this as an example because I think that it illustrates what your guides are trying to say and your ancestors are trying to say. At the very end, Jesus said on the cross, "Forgive them, Father, because they know not what they do." That is the lesson that you're working towards. And that's not just forgive others because they don't know what they do. Forgive yourself, because that version of yourself in the past didn't have the insight the version of you today has. Forgive yourself because you knew not what you did. And now you do. And Spirit doesn't judge you. You might have been cast as the villain. You might have been purposefully placed in that role to incite anger in other people so that their triggers would come forward. Because when our triggers come forward, we see the beast. You can see the beast. And then you can either decide to face it and slay it, or you can run and hide from it, right? And there's no judgment either way. But don't judge yourself for not playing the role the way you thought you should because you would do it differently today. Because everything is happening for a reason. And like I said, with duality, you being the villain in someone's life in the past might have been exactly the thing that they needed to help them in the future. I'll give you an example that my guides just brought forward that's from my own life. So when I was a teenager, I don't know how old I was. I was like 15 maybe, I don't know. I was dating this guy, and he, because of circumstances in his life, he decided that he was going to drop out of high school. Now, the version of me then was like, no, I am not dating someone who's going to drop out of high school. And I don't think that it was for a legitimate reason. It was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is BS. It was like that shadow element rebellion. Dropped out of high school. And I broke up with him. Now, granted, I was like 15, so we probably were dating for like 2 weeks at the time. But years later, years later, he called me out of the blue and thanked me for doing that, because at the time, it was a great pain to him, but it helped him to get back on track. And he ended up going back to get his high school diploma, and then went to college. And then, you know, when I talked to him, he was married and he had kids and like, I mean, literally it was like years and years and years later. So I'm sure at the time he probably hated me for doing that. And I myself even had questionable thoughts about it, because I was like, should I really be judging this person? But I played the role I was meant to play. And luckily, years later, I was able to have him explain that it was a positive thing. So if you can take anything away from that story, I hope that you can take away the fact that you might have been having a very positive impact on other people, and you just didn't have the benefit of them coming back and telling you years later, thanking you for it, right? So don't be harsh with yourself, because you really don't know how everything fits together. And recognize that we're all learning and growing. So now I would like to get some more cards. Now I'd like to get some guidance on how you can specifically move past any kind of guilt that you're having. Now, partially that story I just told you is going to be is linked with the energy of guilt. Okay. Oh, interesting. Oh my God. Okay, so you got the moon. Then you also got, this is the Hierophant. Then you got the King of Wands and the World. All right, so this is reiterating what I was saying before. What it's saying is that you are here to play a particular role. The Hierophant is a master teacher. This is spiritual guidance, things being written. You are playing a particular role, the world. Like one of the things this is very esoteric and very out there, and maybe it will relate to you guys, and maybe you'll get it and maybe you won't. But we are the universe experiencing itself, right? Like I said before, we are the blood cells inside this larger being, right? If you will, if you want to call it source, you want to call it God, whatever it is. We are the universe experiencing itself. And you are cast in a particular role. That is all orchestrated and controlled by things that we can measure, like astrology is sort of a framework of who you are, the role that you're playing. Partially it has to do with your Akashic records, which is also linked back with the Hierophant. The stories that you walked in the past, how they influence you now, and you are here to play a particular role. Some of that is hidden from you, right? We know that. Past life energy, we come into our new life, you don't remember anything. There might be shadows of things that come forward to you, and you might have had to play a harsh role where you were really cruel to someone, or you were not fair to someone, and it was to light a fire underneath them, to get them to step into their own power. Like the story I mentioned with like breaking up with my ex. You know, like I'm sure there's people that would have heard that story. I'm sure there's some of you out there that were thinking, oh, you broke up with him for that? I'm like, I know, and I carried a lot of guilt about it because I thought it was superficial, and I, you know, like love conquers all that kind of stuff. But I had the benefit of him coming back and explaining to me that it was one of the greatest gifts I could have given him because it set him down a particular path. So recognize that you might have had to play a particular role, and you don't have to feel guilty. Like, not everyone, we talk about in spiritual circles, specifically in tarot, we talk a lot about karmic relationships, right? And the karmic is sort of cast as the villain. We've all been somebody's karmic. I am sure that there are people out there that don't think that I'm a great person, and that if they have memories of me doing things that were hurtful to them, and I may be aware of them and I might not be. I know that there are people in my life that I look at and I'm like, you are the villain in my life. You're the villain in that story. But I recognize that they had to play that role, because ultimately, especially with enough time, I understand how that benefited me. You know, them doing that led me down a particular path. And so I give them grace. I don't necessarily want to invite them back into my life, and that's okay. But I release the anger that I have towards them. And if I can do that for them, why can't I do that for myself? I release the guilt. And it takes time, right? And you can continue to ask for guidance. One of the things that really helped me as well is to ask for forgiveness and to say, I'm sorry. But I didn't necessarily do that face to face with all people, right? Because some of these people you might not ever want to talk to again. You feel guilty for certain things that you did, but you also recognize that they weren't a healthy influence in your life. Then pray, meditate, talk to their higher self, talk to their guides and say, I'm sorry. Can you please send energy of apology and send healing back to this person? I send them back anything that I took from them energetically. You are an energetic being who's able to manipulate and work with energy. So that might be very effective for you. You might also want to have a healing done, like have a Reiki session done and have a cord cutting done. That could really help you to release any kind of guilt. But ultimately, your ancestors are saying there is no need for you to feel guilty because it was all written a particular way. You're meant to play a certain role. There is a lot that you don't understand that isn't shared with you. And you're meant to play a particular role guiding people forward, including yourself. So you can forgive yourself and you can move past that. And if you need help from them, they will help you. You just have to ask, right? You have free will. So if you don't want the help from your ancestors, they will let you walk this path alone. But your ancestors, oh my God, they're such an amazing resource for healing. Even if it's just a reminder that they're with you. When you see a lot of synchronicities in your life, 9 times out of 10, that is an ancestor that's talking to you. They are such a valuable resource too, to help us put the pieces together and understand our own history, including past lives. So you might have actually been carrying a lot of guilt, and this feels like it might even go into the next pile, which is about shame, from past life in like situations, because we oftentimes see ourselves as independent. In this moment, I am Odessa, but I'm not. This is just one chapter in the history of my soul. I'm Odessa right now, and I've been other people prior, and I will be other prior. And actually, I mean, if you're thinking about theoretical physics, I am those people right now, just as I am all other versions of me as Odessa, the little child, you know, the 15-year-old breaking up with my ex. Those versions of me still exist as well, but I digress. So let's find out how you can release any kind of shame that you have. Okay. Sun on the bottom of the deck. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm going to keep that up. I'm going to take that card from the bottom of the deck because I was directed to look at it. So what you have here is the World once again. So we have the World again, the Devil, then the Seeker of Wands, and then we have the Sun. So we've got the Page of Wands. You've got, you know, you had like ideas and you were inspired to move in a particular way. And a lot of it had to do with you completing karmic cycles with the Devil. A lot of this had to do with you exploring all of the darkest aspects of your own nature, to go in and do the wrong thing, to know what it felt like to hurt somebody or betray someone or lie to someone or talk behind their back, doing all the things you shouldn't do, or overindulging, drinking too much, staying out too late, you know, like telling somebody that you really wanted to, you know, like go on a particular trip or do something with them and really you didn't want to, and then you backed out at the last minute, you know, like whatever it was, ghosting somebody, all of the things that hurt people. You were meant to play that role, and ultimately by doing that, you are learning what it feels like to have that blow up in your face. And I'm sure that there's lots of things that you can look back on and you think, oh, why did I do that? I feel so bad now. I feel so bad and so guilty. I have shame around it. But now you know what it feels like to experience that, and it's kind of like touching the hot burner. You're not going to do it any longer. And we have to experience everything. We have to be able to look at everything from different perspectives, so we learn and grow. You're never going to be able to bake a cake without breaking a couple of eggs. Like it is what it is. And then to a certain degree, some of this might have, the shame that you've experienced might have something to do with you being your authentic self as well. Like knowing who you are, but not wanting to show the world that, and feeling a lot of shame around being who you are, demonizing yourself, you know, looking at yourself based on the expectations of others and society and saying, no, it's wrong for me to love this person or want to have this or have these thoughts or to, you know, express myself this way. Like whatever it is, like you might have taken all of these beautiful rebellious aspects of yourself, and rebellion can come through to us as a choice, like we're making choices based on the things that are happening around us and we believe in equality, whatever it is. But rebellion can just be something that's ingrained inside you and you have no choice. Like I'm a very rebellious person and I cannot stop myself. I can't. It just is who I am. Like I don't believe that we should be controlled, and I don't believe that we should have to live up to other people's expectations, and I believe that people should be able to love anyone that they want, and they should be able to dress any way they want, and they should be able to identify any way they want. And I think I am appalled by any kind of restrictions or you know, pressure from authorities to get people to behave a particular way. Like it makes me just want to completely rebel. And there were times in my life when I didn't go about it the right way. And I'm now in a different place in my life and I see it in a different way. I used to like really feel like there's something wrong with me. Why can't I just fall in line? My story is like, where I'm supposed to fall in line as like a cisgendered woman is I'm supposed to be okay with being a second-class citizen to a husband, and I'm supposed to, you know, want to support and do everything around the house and raise children and be completely happy with that. And that was never going to be me. I was never going to be able to do that, and I didn't do that, and I'm happy I didn't do that. And I don't judge anyone else for doing that. and I'm not saying you are a second-class citizen because you get married or you have children. I hope that everyone understands that. It's just that the patriarchy does have certain expectations of women, and it filters into every aspect of our lives. And I just wasn't able to play the standard role of what a woman is supposed to be. And I carried a lot of shame because of that. And eventually I just shook it off. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. This is who I am. And if I'm going to end up being some wild crone witch in the middle of the wilderness, like making friends with the wild animals, I'm like fully okay with that. And I just closed that chapter and just moved on with my life, and we'll see what happens, right? And I feel like that is where you need to go. You need to just shake off the shame. Like, that's why I constantly refer to myself, and if you guys have watched my readings, like, I really embrace the term crone, because I think that it's very demonized. It's like the idea of a woman getting older, or the idea of crone, that term is like associated with ugly old witches that are just bitter and want to, like, curse people. But the crone energy is a woman in her most empowered. Historically, that's what it means. So I embrace it, and that's why I constantly refer to myself as a crone. I love it. I'm like fully embracing that energy. And so whatever it is that maybe you need to, like, take all of the terms that people maybe have used against you, and you need to, like, reclaim them. And if it's not a term, maybe it is some other aspect of your life, and you need to reclaim that so that you can get over the shame. Like, because it looks to me like the shame is coming from the lens that you're looking at yourself through. And I think that has been dictated to you by somebody else. And the universe and your guides and your ancestors see you as a beautiful child. Like, you are this beautiful spark. Like, and once you realize that, you're going to emerge as the butterfly, and you'll be able to see everything from a higher perspective, and you'll radiate that love to everyone. It doesn't mean that all of the darkness will evaporate. No, because we're in a universe of duality, but you will be able to shine a light on those dark corners, and it won't be scary. It won't be scary. It won't be overwhelming. It won't be so dark, which is really beautiful. So now I would like to get you a couple of cards to find out how you can move past self-blame. Okay, all right. So you got the Three of Cups, then you got the Seven of Swords, the Two of Swords, and then the Hierophant in reverse. Okay, so what this is telling me is that you have definitely made poor decisions in the past, right? You have done things that were maybe a little bit self-serving. You were at a crossroads, right? You've been presented with different options to move forward, and you might have made egoic decisions. This might have been a situation where you were part of a group, so there was some peer pressure involved. This might have been a situation where, like, you bullied somebody, or you ostracized somebody, or you demonized something. Like, you made decisions that now you feel very guilty about. And it's partially going back to what I've been talking about before, that your role as the Hierophant, like, you keep judging yourself because you weren't always the empowered master that you either are now or you're becoming. But, okay, going back to Jesus again, I apologize if the Jesus references are triggering to anyone. I've been trying to get different examples, and my guides are just keep bringing the same thing to me. So, for example, with Jesus, there's almost like no record of his earlier life, right? We start at a particular point, and there's many different versions of his story, but it starts at a particular point when he's basically a grown man. Well, it's probably because he was making all kinds of bad decisions, and that's not good, optics for this new fledgling religion. So let's just cut out all the parts about Jesus making awful decisions and being egoic, because every healer has to walk through the coals. Every single healer, I promise you. And, you may believe that Jesus is a real person, you may not. Regardless, I'm okay with whatever you believe. But regardless, every healer and leader, whether it is from a religious, school of teaching, or whether it's a real person like Mahatma Gandhi or, Mother Teresa or Martin Luther King, there's all of these people have had flaws. There's controversy around those three people, but their legacy is one of really profound teaching and change. So we don't throw away all of the beauty of what they've given us because they were flawed. Like you can look at Gandhi and there are some questionable things, questionable, controversial stories around him, but the majority of what he was doing was very beneficial and very inspiring. So, allow yourself that same grace. No, you were not the Hierophant as you should be then, but that's not where you were meant to be. You were learning how to take the blindfolds off. So give yourself some grace. So now I'm going to get you a couple final cards. So this is final healing guidance from your ancestors. Okay, let's see. So the first one is transcendence. Transcend your mind's limitations and allow your soul's light to truly shine. Yes, stop overthinking what's going on. I mean, you're going to probably just be drawn down the rabbit hole like we all are. Why are we here? Why is all of this happening? Why do bad things happen to good people? All the same questions that I have posed to my guides and that I'm constantly trying to figure out. You will have those things, but there has to be a certain amount of faith, like just surrendering and understanding that everything is happening for a reason. Literally everything is being watched, monitored, maintained. And you do have free will because you have the ability. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You're in your own video game. And there are certain pathways that you can walk down, but there are also going to be certain limitations. Like there's certain out of bounds areas that you're not going to be allowed to go into. So surrender. Try and not judge yourself too harshly and focus on all of the beauty. Focus on the beautiful child that you are with this radiant energy that you are seeding into the earthly plane. Patience. Be patient and allow destiny to unfold at its own pace. Yes, be patient with yourself 100%. Because if you aren't at the standard that you would like yourself to be before you start the teaching, then maybe it's not time for you to start teaching yet. But you also have to recognize that you don't have to be perfect in order to be a valuable member of society or help guide people or teach them or be in a loving relationship or start your own business or, be someone that people respect and look to. You don't have to be perfect. That's actually not what people want. They don't want perfection. That feels like not authentic if you're perfect. That feels too edited. So be raw, be unedited. That's okay. And you will make mistakes. It's fine. Whatever happens is all meant to be, and also be patient as you grow. because you're not going to miss out on any opportunities. I promise you. Like, whatever is meant for you will always find you. Reflection. See all aspects of yourself through the reflection of the one who mirrors your hidden self. So basically, what I am seeing here from this is that they're asking you to start looking at your triggers. So you might still be working through some of this energy, right? You're not quite there yet. That's totally okay. And basically, when you get triggered by other people, when they say something that really hurts you and makes you feel uncomfortable, that's okay. Then just take that moment to maybe take a step back and maybe write down what you're feeling, or take some time on your own to explore that further, right? Because our triggers are signposts towards our deeper pain, and that is what we need to be releasing, healing, and accepting. So if you get triggered, then ask yourself, well, why do I feel triggered? What emotions is this bringing up? What thoughts is this triggering in my mind? What am I feeling in this moment? And then once you're able to sort of write that down or articulate that to yourself, then ask yourself, okay, when was the last time I felt this way? Are there any other moments in my life that I felt this way? Oftentimes you'll find, like, yeah, this is making me feel afraid and judged, and the last time I felt this way was, with this person, or it was in my childhood. It helps you to sort of navigate down to the core of the issue, which is very helpful. Dreams, the universe speaks to you through your dreams. Nice. So your ancestors might be speaking to you through symbolic language. Dreams often are very confusing, but you break it down piece by piece. Because if you're getting a lot of really vivid dreams, it likely is guidance. So if you're trying to work through some of this guilt, shame, and self-blame, and you're having, say, these vivid nightmares about the past. I just said pace. Oh, that's interesting. So, the pace, maybe how things have been unfolding, or the speed that things have been unfolding. That might resonate for one of you. But if you're having a lot of nightmares about the past, and there are things that you just don't want to have to go back to, you're being told that is where the blockage is, that is where the pain is. So you don't have to dissect every aspect of that past experience to release it. You just have to acknowledge it and ask through meditation or just, internal dialogue, please help me. How do I release this? Or, keep reaffirming that I am safe, I am healed, I don't need to hang on to this any longer. Say whatever you need to say. Write it down on a piece of paper. Light it, in a candle flame and release it. Doing something like that on a full moon can be very, very beneficial. Then the final card you got is free spirit. To be a free spirit is to float without walls, to fly without judgment, and to love without condition. Yes, this is your natural energy, this free-spirited energy. Love yourself unconditionally, and naturally that will flow to other people. If you're having trouble, one of the things that I found really beneficial to get over my own internal biases and move past blockages and all the devil energy, like all of this kind of stuff that was linked with my own trauma, I would, anytime someone would trigger me or there'd be something that rubbed me the wrong way, I would immediately in that moment try and find something that I thought was valuable or beautiful about it. I'm taking something that's low vibrational and making it high vibrational. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna want to, integrate these toxic things into my life, but it's changing my dialogue. And in some cases, I realized that I had my own biases and I had to do some work with that because they were really mirroring back to me my own, self-judgment, my own self-hatred to a certain degree. So I hope that this information helped you guys. This was such a pleasure. I love all of you. You are doing such amazing work. I know this was a really long reading, but I really felt called to just completely dissect this. I would love to know your thoughts if you feel like sharing in the comments. If you could like the reading, if it resonated for you, that would be amazing as well. And if any of you guys are interested in working with me one-on-one, that would be awesome. I would love that. You can go to my website, odessamall.com. All of my services and booking information are available there. I do tarot card readings, spiritual coaching, Reiki, and I also do channeled messages from your spirit guides and past life readings. So thank you so much for joining me. I am so thrilled that I get to work with you and channel these messages for you. Have a wonderful day and night, and I will see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi, pile number 2, welcome back. So you picked the citrine and the rosemary, and in case you missed the intro, I am delivering healing guidance from the stars. So that includes your ancestors from this life, past lives. It could also include star ancestors. This pile of cards is going to give me a general healing message from the stars, and then I'm going to be diving into a couple of other decks to give you guidance on how you can release guilt, shame, and self-blame, and then of course I'm going to give you a final message. So let's see what this first initial healing message is. You received the Pilgrim, new blueprints, the Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Roadrunner, keep your sense of humor and don't take things so seriously. Ladybug, this is a time of good fortune and abundance, so be willing to receive all good things in your life. Horseshoe, good luck. Gong, an exciting event. Pineapple, reconciliation. Mule, someone is extremely stubborn and unwilling to change. Rainbow, the most difficult part of a situation is over. The Divine Child, the light attributes are innocence, purity, and redemption, suggests a special connection with the divine. The shadow attributes are an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. And then the Queen, light attributes are radiates the regal feminine, uses her benevolent authority to protect others. And the shadow attributes are becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling, and demanding. Okay, pile number 2. So it looks like you've been going on a really long journey with the Pilgrim card. There have been a lot of twists and turns. You are trying to raise your vibration, and it looks to me like you are also trying to influence other people. You might not be aware of this yet, but this is with the new blueprint. That's definitely talking about you raising your awareness, opening yourself up to your psychic gifts, increasing your vibration and how you impact others around you, which is then shifting your entire community, because we're like trying to work towards a more enlightened way of being. And it looks like you volunteered to incarnate and play this role, because it says you've been training for this for lifetimes. So, I mean, if you don't resonate with the idea of past lives, it could mean that you've been working towards self-mastery in this life, and you've been doing everything that you possibly can to possibly work through some of your own pain, and you might be feeling like, I'm not getting there, like it's not working, like going to a therapist and trying like, 6 different modalities of therapy, new age and traditional, and it's not working. Or you are trying to heal your physical body, and you've tried a whole bunch of different techniques. You've gone to doctor after doctor after doctor, and you've tried Chinese medicine, and you've tried naturopathy, you've tried traditional Western medicine. Nothing is working. It just feels like you've been going through a lot, but it looks like you are through the hardest part. You might not be aware of this yet, because I do feel a certain sense of exhaustion, especially with this mule. There's been a lot of people that have been fighting against you, maybe dragging their feet, maybe being stubborn. This could be red tape that you've had to deal with. It could be other family members or friends just not living up to your expectations or following through with the things that they promised you. But it looks to me like that energy is going to be dissipating in your life. And it has a lot to do with you reconciling with yourself. I feel like you have two different natures that are authentic to you. I think that you are naturally an authoritative person. You embody the queen energy. So you're a natural born leader and you are comfortable taking control of a situation, and you are opinionated and you have thoughts and feelings and a way of problem solving that's very effective. But I think that you also have this side of yourself that's very playful and childlike, and you like to be silly, and you will dance like nobody's watching, and you don't mind singing off tune, and all of that is truthful to you as well. Now, there might have been people that judged you for that. Like, there are people that have a very rigid idea about what is an adult. That you can't be silly. You have to give up all of that stuff from your childhood or your younger years. Give all of that up and just be very logical and serious. And so they can't just be silly and dance and just be wild. They are worried about how they're going to be perceived by other people. And so you might have been harshly judged by people like that, and then you felt like you were being discriminated against, or you were being judged, and it made you feel uncomfortable. Now, there's also the possibility that you've had some wounds from your childhood. Maybe there were times in your childhood with family or with other people around you where they had too much control over you, and they had a negative influence on you. And therefore, when you feel like you're being backed into a corner, or there's someone in your life that's trying to control you, you react very aggressively because you learned how to empower yourself, because you never wanted to feel like you were that scared little child again. But to a certain degree, you overcompensate because you're afraid that you will fall back into that energy. And I think it's a matter of you sort of like coming into equilibrium, you reconciling with yourself that you are the authority in your own life. And yes, you were in a position in the past where you were helpless. We all have been. As children, we're all helpless. Kids can't take care of themselves, right? They have to have someone take care of them. And so sometimes we adapt and change. That might have been some of how you gain some of these gifts and skills. Like, you have this sense of humor naturally that comes through you, that's connected to the inner child. Now, that might have been a coping strategy. You might have been made fun of and bullied as a child, and you learned to tell jokes or disarm people with humor, or you had really aggressive or toxic parents, like they had toxic habits of their own, right? Not that they are toxic. Everyone's dealing with trauma, but you might have learned to disarm them through humor or through meeting their needs and doing more for them than was necessary, or being perpetually happy and being a performer. All of that could have been part of your coping strategies to protect yourself. And when you feel triggered by someone, when they question your authority or question your intelligence possibly as well, you at times might verge too far into being the authoritative leader, where it's coming into this demanding and controlling energy, because you're overcompensating for the triggering, the fear, the panic that was inspired by them questioning you. And I think that you're coming to a place where you're elevating your vibration, and all of that is coming into alignment, right? The rainbow is connected to many different things. One of them is the 7 primary chakras, our energetic system, and every single color is associated with a different chakra. And the reason for that is we perceive color based on the way our eye is analyzing and perceiving vibration, and each one of our chakras is vibrating at a different rate, right? So you're coming into alignment, mastering all of the different vibratory levels in your own system, right? Which is what's visible here. You can, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's like a sound wave coming through here. And then at the center is a butterfly. And so you are transforming. You're emerging from the cocoon or the chrysalis, and you have become the butterfly, but you haven't quite realized that yet. I think that you're still a little bit gun shy about things. You're reluctant to accept that maybe the worst is over because you don't want to be disappointed. And it's safer for you to just sort of wait, hold off, and see what happens than, you know, get really excited because, yeah, you don't want to be burned later on. But over and over and over again, you have cards here indicating that things are about to get really, really good. And it might mean that you're just going to have some blessings come through to you. It might mean that some of the answers to your deepest questions are going to come through to you, or you're going to have doorways opened up to you, like the examples I was giving earlier, where you have had health issues and all of a sudden you get diagnosed with, you know, a particular illness. And that might sound sad, but at least you have an answer. Now you know what's wrong, and then you can start fixing things. It could be any number of things, but definitely with the ladybug, good luck and exciting events, something very positive is coming forward. And I feel like it's going to set you on a path where you start to really step into your leadership, because the pineapple always makes me think of leadership and authority. Yeah, it always makes me think of that meme about people like embodying a pineapple being sweet and wearing a big crown. So every time I see a pineapple, it makes me think of royalty. So yeah, you're really going to be embodying that, the sweetness of the divine child and the authority of the queen. And it's going to align you with things that are so fortuitous and beautiful. I think that you might end up really helping others too in the future, if you aren't already. Step into this same energy of being able to really use humor as a healing strategy. There's something that's strongly coming forward about that. So this is beautiful. I love, 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 love this. So let's get some more guidance on how you can overcome and release guilt. How can you heal guilt? How can pile number 2 heal guilt? Okay, that's enough. All right. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so you have the 10 of Wands, the World, 6 of Wands, 9 of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, 7 of Wands, Ace of Wands, the Future, and the Fool. So this is really powerful. There's a lot of fire energy there. You've got 4 different Wands cards that have come out here. So what the cards are telling me is that you have been feeling some guilt connected to the past. You have the 9 of Swords here, which is indicating that there has been a time in your life where your worst nightmares were your reality. You've also had to carry really heavy burdens. Like I was mentioning before, I think that you have been like this mule and you've had to carry the weight for more than just you. You may have had people really turn on you and really not see what a gem you are. They might have seen you as sort of careless, too rooted in your inner child, not someone who they could trust with authority. This might have been a situation where your family constantly coddled you or belittled you and made you feel like you couldn't ever achieve anything, but at the same time they are putting all of these burdens. The energy I get is emotional burdens on you, and it's resulted in some situations that were like basically your worst fears realized. But a lot of the energy that comes through with this Nine of Swords is you potentially magnetizing more of this pain to you because of the way you're thinking about it, possibly feeling guilty, because I get the energy that you might have finally come to a place where you stood your ground. With the Seven of Wands, you stood your ground against those that were constantly trying to put you down or push you into a particular role, and you felt very, very guilty about this. You felt guilty about having this fresh start, the Fool. You may have this, for some of you, this might not resonate for all of you, but for some of you, this might have been a situation where you had sort of people in your life that were kind of toxic, weren't that healthy, and you either put up firm boundaries or you've walked away from them. Or it's just you're feeling guilty about putting up boundaries because you played this particular role. And for some of you, you might not have toxic people in your life. They're just putting more burdens on you than you can carry. And you feel guilty saying no because I think you've always said yes. It's just always been yes, 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 right? You've wanted to help everyone find their victory with the Six of Wands. But I think you started to realize that it was not going to take you towards the future that you wanted. You got the Future card. And now it's time for you to reassess and realign. And I think for some of you, you might have had some sort of karmic shift that took place that might have been also connected with this Nine of Swords. With the Wheel of Fortune coming out, oftentimes there's sort of like a roll of the dice. Things you may have done something that worked out beneficial to you and then was a disadvantage to someone else, and that's also why you're feeling guilty. But your ancestors want you to know that this is the role you're meant to play. This is the storyline that was scripted for you, that you yourself wrote. The world, this is the completion of a cycle where you're meant to. There's nothing to feel guilty about. There's nothing to feel guilty about putting up boundaries. There's nothing to feel guilty about walking away from any person or event or space that has caused you to have these feelings of deep depression and nightmares. You are entitled to be able to have victory in your life. You're entitled to be able to show both aspects of yourself, the divine child and the queen. You should feel excited. You shouldn't feel guilty about following your intuition. You are meant to have this brand new start with the Ace of Wands. That is you are clearing out the low vibrational negative energy, that this is exactly what is meant to happen. And there is only beautiful things that are coming to you in the future, but you need to focus on that. And there definitely feels like you might get some answers and some solutions, like you might feel better about making this shift and not feel so guilty if you look at your astrology, because my eye is really being drawn to Saturn, and then my eye is also being drawn to the astrological symbols on this card. You might be have strong Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, or Scorpio in your chart. You don't have to be, you don't have to, but you might. But yeah, that's what's coming forward, that you don't have to feel guilty about any of these things, that you can embrace the shift and change, because it's a shift in the tide that was destined. You know, we're all connected to each other through, you know, this web of energy. And there are certain things there's certain things that have to happen to be able to create a certain pattern so another thing will take place in the future. And sometimes we have to make a stand. Sometimes we have to be the villain because it will inspire someone else to make a decision that helps emancipate themselves. If you say no to these people and you're not going to do all of these tasks for them anymore, they may step up into their own power and realize that they're a lot stronger than they think. There might be a certain element of learned helplessness or weaponized incompetence that's coming forward here, where like they know they could do it, but they don't want to. So they'll just put that on you, either by actively telling you that you need to do it, or just doing whatever the task is so badly that you end up doing it. It's a very passive-aggressive tactic. And then they're not evolving. You know, they need to have that responsibility on their shoulders. Now, some of you might be mothers, and I find that this, not to say that dads don't have these thoughts, but I do work with a lot of people, and this comes through over and over and over and over and over again. Moms really worry about what's going to take place for their children, their spouse, their brothers and sisters, their parents. It happens all the time. I've only had one guy in all of the years that I've been doing this. I've only had one male client ever express things the same way. And I know that you love all of these people, and there is a lot of pressure on women if you are this person. There's a lot of pressure on women to fulfill a particular role, taking care of the emotional needs and stability of the family. But everyone is here to learn lessons and grow. And sometimes we have to allow people to fall on their face. Sometimes they have to fail because that's the only way they're ever going to be able to learn the lesson. And by interfering in that, you actually are dooming them to have to repeat cycles over and over and over and over again, potentially even have to relive a life, because the storyline that they've wrote includes them failing at some things. Just like your failures to a certain degree have been written into your plan, because sometimes we learn the most from the pain. Sometimes we learn the most from the failure. So you can release guilt. You're not doing anything wrong. You're playing exactly the role that you're meant to play. And so if that means seeking your own joy and looking towards your own future first and foremost, then do that. That's where the growth is going to come in. That's what the key is. Focus on the growth and the future for yourself. So now let's get some more cards and find out how you can release shame. How can pile number 2, release shame? How can pile number 2 release shame? Okay, 10 seconds. Wow. Okay, so pile number 2, it looks like, okay, you've got a lot of wands here again. Like you've got 3 wands cards. So you've got the Wheel of Fortune again, then you've got the King of Wands, followed by the 3 of Wands, 5 of Wands. Then we have the 9 of Pentacles, followed by this, the Chariot, and then the 10 of Cups. So it looks to me like you are feeling some shame around your own power, your own energy, your own strength. You, going back to this Queen energy, I think you have a natural leadership quality. You magnetize people to you. They watch you. And you might have felt a certain amount of shame because there may have been times in the past where you let that fiery nature of yourself get the best of you. and like the Five of Wands. So when people fought you or they had a difference of opinion, you would be like, okay, I'm gonna bury you. I know exactly what to say to shut you up or to really, hit you where it hurts. And you do have that ability. You have psychic abilities. There are things that you see in another person that it's like will literally be a gut punch. You know exactly how to stop somebody in their tracks. And this might have been a situation in the past where like there might have been rivals where they were like trying to push you off your pedestal, and you're like, oh, okay, you want to play that game? All right, here, we can go there then. And you like blow them out of the water, but you're so like, you were so assertive, and I have to say the words that are coming to me, that you were so aggressive about it that it was almost a low blow to a certain degree, or at least that's how it was perceived by other people. It was like, really, basically you're able to see what their deepest insecurity is, and that was immediately where you stabbed them. And maybe you didn't recognize that that was like exactly what would hurt them, but I think to a certain degree you recognize that now, or it could have just been you losing your temper and not like having that emotion regulation, being controlling or demanding or being arrogant, like on the Queen card. And it's like, I'm gonna yell and I'm gonna, walk out, or I'm gonna have an outburst, right? Which is exactly what the Five of Wands is talking about. And you felt shame about that. But what I'm getting from this is that, once again, it's a matter of equilibrium. It's like you are swinging between two polarities. And you had to go to one extreme and then the next and then the next and then the next, and eventually it settles in the center. And that was part of what you were doing. That's what the Wheel of Fortune is talking about. Again, with those cycles. And you have completed a major cycle. I think that now you have a much greater understanding, or you will in the future, of who you are and how hot your fire really is. Like, you are aware of how powerful you are, and you use those tools wisely. I have said this before, but I think it's a great example. It's like being a member of the X-Men and you have this superpower. Your power is to be able to cut someone deep and be able to say exactly what you need to say to completely disarm them. Now, if you wanted to become a lawyer, if you wanted to become a political activist, you wanted to, do something where you had to literally be able to fight against an opponent, oh my God, would you ever be successful? You would be amazing. But doing that with your spouse, probably not advisable, because you want to be on the same team as them, right? You are coming to a place where you understand how dangerous that is. And it's like in the X-Men, when they have their powers and they're completely out of control, and they're like, they've got like laser beams coming out of their eyes, and they're like literally blowing up cars in the middle of the street, and they can't like control it because they lose their temper, and it's like everything is melting. That's where you have been in the past. And now you're getting to a place with the guidance of your guides where it's like you've gone to the academy and Professor X has helped you to balance that out. And it took time, but now you have that balance, or you're getting to that place. And in a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or with family, you understand that's like we're on the same team. So it's more important that we come to a place of agreement and we have an outcome that's mutually beneficial than being right. You know, I need to be in control of my own triggers and my own trauma, because otherwise people can weaponize that and use that against me. And it is something that we all have to get control of. Whenever you get triggered by anything, see it as a blessing and take it to heart. Listen to what your own responses are telling you. Because if you continue to walk through life and have those triggers be able to take you from like, you know, 0 to 100 in terms of emotional response, you might have that used against you when you need to be in control the most, right? So there's, for example, that's why when somebody goes to court, lawyers will typically sit down with their client and they will prepare them to be on the stand. What they're doing is I'm going to ask you all of the questions, all of the things that might trigger you. So when the opposing lawyer starts to try and jab at them, they don't have that over emotional response. So you're going to do that for yourself. You're going to start to really play devil's advocate against yourself and ask yourself, okay, whoa, I just watched this TikTok and like, why do I ever feel angry? Okay, why do I feel angry? What is this saying? Where is this taking me? Why is this emotion coming up? You know, how am I going to process this? Sometimes it's a legitimate thing, like there's nothing else to unpack about it. It's like, oh wow, this insane violence and the brutality that I'm seeing in this video clip, that's why I'm angry. But other times it's like an opposing opinion that someone puts out and you're like, you're immediately taken back to, in your own mind, you might not be cognitively aware of it initially, back to some trauma that you experienced when you were 5 years old, when you felt like you weren't being heard or you were invisible to your parents. And it just takes you right back. And so you gotta just be aware of those things. It's nothing to feel shame about. There's no shame in it. You've gone through this evolution. That's the mastery. Once you're able to be like, yes, that is my trigger. I get it. I see you, shadow, and I'm looking you right in the eyes. Then you're in control. And that's when you have this balance of the chariot where like you're the warrior, you're in control, divine masculine, divine feminine, they are carrying you forward. They are the horses carrying you forward, and you're in complete control. You have all of your defenses ready to go. No one can use any of that against you. You know, it's like like you'll just laugh at it. Like, especially like, and if you need any assistance doing this, go on TikTok. Start conversations with people you disagree with. My God, the things that people will say to try and trigger you, like, you're gonna die alone. Oh, all right, that's cool, whatever. Like, if that's not your trigger and you've overcome whatever fear you've had, you know, that's just one example, then you just laugh at it, right? And that's one of your powers. You've got this sense of humor. That's one of your powers. And ultimately, it leads you to this place where all of your shifts are coming in. You've got the balance, the trifecta with the 3 of Wands. You're moving forward from a heart-centered place, but you have real fire and power. And then you've got all of the abundance and luxury with the 9 of Pentacles. You are in control of everything you're manifesting in your life. You own that. Like, I own that. I own that. I own that. No one else can take any credit for what I've created, because this is all me. I created this. This is my blueprint, and I walk this path. So the things that I should be celebrating, my victories, are mine. And you have that. That is your future. 6 of Wands. And then the 10 of Cups. So if you're not in a happy relationship yet, or you don't have the right friends around you, or you don't have that community that you want, that is on its way for you. Rainbow, all of that. The most difficult parts, can't pick this up. The most difficult parts of your life are over. Everything coming into alignment. You are going to be so happy. What I'm getting is, I just got the number 3. Now, of course, as I said before, that's the trifecta, so everything is in balance, unity, but it could be 3 years. that is the full span of this coming into, and that doesn't mean all the blessings don't start until 3 years from now. No. That's like the full transition of you finally getting from this to this. So that is so beautiful. Oh my God. So now let's look at self-blame. So how can pile number 2 release self-blame? Okay, just give me a second here so I can move some of this stuff around. Okay, what do we got? Okay, so we have the 9 of Swords once again. We've got the 3 of Swords in reverse. We've got 4 of Swords, 2 of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, King of Swords, the Page of Cups in reverse, the 3 of Cups in reverse, the 8 of Cups in reverse, and the Lovers, also known as the twins in this deck. Okay, so it looks to me like you have been through, like we've talked about, you've been through a period of deep sadness and pain. The 9 of Swords talking about your worst nightmares being realized. I think that you didn't have the friendship or the companionship or the community that you needed to have with the 3 of Cups in reverse. That the people that you thought would be there for you were not there for you. And I think that your intuition was communicating with you for a while, but you weren't necessarily listening with the Page of Cups in reverse. I think that you were possibly too rooted in your logic mind and not listening to that divine child. You might have had a reluctance to listen to your intuition because you thought, you know, psychic abilities or magic or any of that stuff was like for children, and it's a fantasy. It's you know, a figment of our imagination, and it's not real. And so you ignored that, or you just had learned that you shouldn't trust your own instincts, and you were being told that you needed to move away from people or experiences or things that no longer served you, but you were quite reluctant to do that. And eventually I think something happened, or you were just you just made the decision to rest and recuperate, and you started to contemplate and think about these things more deeply. And as a result of that, you started to have a new awareness. It was like something clicked inside you, where you were able to start using that strong logic mind of yours to your favor with the King of Swords. You started to communicate and think about things in a different way. This likely came through as, I'm being told, a rescue from your guides, a rescue from your ancestors. And this will be like a situation where like you see a post on social media, and all of a sudden it's like it changes the way you think about yourself and your situation. You know, like you are in a relationship that's really unhealthy, and all of a sudden you see somebody talking about, you know, narcissistic abuse, or somebody is talking about coercive control, and you're like, whoa, that really hit deep, and that sounds like something that I'm experiencing. And all of a sudden you have this knowledge that you didn't have before. And although it was painful, it helped you to plant this new seed, right, with the Ace of Pentacles. And through that you found balance, and you're healing now from the pain. The swords that pierced your heart are falling away, And either you are moving towards a union where you're going to be partnered with another person, with the lovers, or this is a new appreciation for yourself. This could be a new bond between both sides of yourself, right? The queen and the child. You're in control of both sides of yourself. And to a certain degree, you've been blaming yourself, like looking back at the past and thinking, why didn't I just listen to my intuition earlier? Maybe I wouldn't have had to experience so much pain if I had listened to my intuition earlier. Or I shouldn't have done the things that I did in the past, and feeling really guilty because now you're seeing your own situation from a different perspective, and you're seeing possibly the pain that you inflicted on other people. You've had more awareness, but there's no need for you to feel guilty, because everything that you did not only helped you learn this valuable lesson, but it helped other people. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted. Everything is helping us to learn and grow, right? That's why I say at the beginning of my readings that I'm helping you to awaken, heal, align, and grow, because we have to wake up to the things that we need to heal, and then we align with our life purpose, and then we grow into a full version of ourselves. Like, that's part of this whole process. That's part of the process of tarot. That's part of the process of being alive and reincarnating, and this being only one chapter. Like, there is no need to blame yourself, because you did the very best you could with what you had. You couldn't have done really any better. You might have been able to shave off a couple of months off of this, but nothing major could have been changed. Even the reluctance that you had to move forward, believe me, if your guides had wanted you to know 100%, we are with you, this is the step you need to take, they would have just brought in a tower, or some literal magic can happen. You know, like, I have experienced things like when my guides wanted me to give up my whole old life and step into my power and do what I'm doing now. Believe me, there was some things that I literally cannot, like, they defy logic. I cannot explain to you how certain things happened, because it will sound freaking insane. I'll sound like a crazy person. But it was what I needed at that time to get me to move forward. And so what I'm saying is that you would have seen some literal magic around you. Something really crazy would have happened if they really needed you to move forward. Or, like I said, the tower would have come in. They would just want to, you know, rip that Band-Aid off. So the fact that you had the opportunity to sort of waffle a little bit and take your time before you made the decision was designed that way, so that you could understand, if I just make decisions faster and I just listen to my instincts, the outcome will be better. So there's no need to be upset with yourself. You did the very best you could with what you had, and ultimately you're exactly where you need to be. That's why you're being rewarded. So let's hit some final messages to see if your ancestors have anything else they would like to share with you. Okay. Release anything that keeps you from your path of authenticity. Yes, if there is anything else that is holding you back from just like living out loud, like, you know, what will people think, or what will they say, or, you know, how will this affect what I've already built? Listen to your gut. You can meditate on it. You can take a little bit of time to make your decisions. You can ask your guides and your ancestors for assistance and guidance, but I promise you, if you are on the path that you're meant to be on, the universe will do everything in its power to support you. The things that you need to fall into place will. You just have to be true to who you are. There is a whole system built around us feeling like we have no power. And they have been building this system for hundreds of years to make us feel like we aren't worthy, that we have no power, that, you know, it's this whole survival of the fittest, that, you know, if you don't have enough to have a comfortable life, then maybe you should just work harder, and all of this BS. The system, as it's built right now, is rigged against you. So reject it. Don't play by that game, because the house always wins if you play by those rules. You have to reject that and say, you know what? I don't care what you think. I am not going to play by those rules, and I'm going to, you know, love who I'm going to love, and I'm going to make art, and I'm going to wear crazy clothes, and I'm going to listen to the music I want, and I'm not going to buy a whole bunch of crap just because it happens to be Black Friday or Cyber Monday or whatever, you know, made up occasion they've made. I am going to have like a beautiful, abundant, slow life. You know, do that. Because believe me, the universe will support you. Light. It is time to reveal your radiant light to the world. Yes. If we all came together and we rejected the idea that, you know, we have to compete against each other, and we started to embrace love, true unconditional love, you know, as long as the other people are embracing the concept of harming none, and we just loved everyone and we supported them and truly, you know, worked on embracing the idea that if someone succeeds, it doesn't mean it's going to take something away from us. Think of how quickly our collective manifestations could literally heal all of the damage that's been done. You know, like, people can say to me, you're insane, and that is wishful thinking, but we've never even tried it. Why? We keep doing what the capitalism wants us to do, and what the patriarchy wants us to do, and look at where we are. Why don't we try a different way? Why don't we try a nurturing way? Why don't we try a supportive, loving way? You know? Like, why don't we be as abundant to each other as the earth is to us? Vision! Trust in your ability to create the vision in your soul. I feel like I'm going to start crying. Yes, if you can dream it, it can exist, because thoughts become things. So, you know, like, embrace who you naturally are. Believe that you deserve these blessings. Believe that they are coming towards you. Believe that the future is going to be bright. Believe that the love of your life is waiting around the corner, that all of your material needs are going to be met and exceeded. Believe that there can be a community for you, and that we can all have that passion and drive inside us. And let's see what happens. Stillness. Reflect on this moment with love, kindness, and compassion. Yes, slow living, and allow yourself the time to adjust. You know, you can contemplate what I've been saying. You don't have to dive into it. You know, like, that's my energy. I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm the kind of person that will just go and move to a city where I literally did this. I moved to Montreal. I quit my job, moved to Montreal. I don't speak French, and I knew nobody that lived in Montreal. It was a learning experience for sure, but that's my energy. So you don't have to do that, but at least allow your mind to go there and contemplate where this could take you. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this reading. I would love to know your thoughts. I know this one was a long one, but I just felt really called to deliver all these messages. I hope that they resonated. I'd love to know if you could like the reading, if it resonated, of course, that would be amazing. And if any of you guys are interested in working with me one-on-one, you can go to my website, odessamal.com. All of my services and booking information are available there. I do tarot card readings, spiritual coaching, Reiki. I do channeled messages from your spirit guides, and I do past life readings. So thank you once again, all of my beautiful friends out there. I am so grateful to connect with you, and I'm honored to be able to deliver these messages. Have a wonderful day or night, and I look forward to seeing you in the next reading. Take care. High file number 3 welcome back. So you picked the carnelian and the seed pod, and in case you missed the intro, I'm delivering healing guidance from the stars. So that includes your ancestors in this life, past lives. It can also include star ancestors. These cards are going to give you your initial healing message. Then I'm going to dive into more decks so I can give you guidance on how you can release guilt, shame, and self-blame, as well as a parting message. So let's see what this first healing message is for you. You received the Vessel. We've got Peacock, let yourself stand out and be noticed. The Initiation, rite of passage, crossing the threshold. Followed by Flute, disappointment in a friend or lover. Finger, warning you of a problem either now or in the near future. Dolphin, financial gain usually comes from something you did in the past. Wedge, someone is trying to come between you and a friend or something you want. Tree, affairs with your family. Life force energy. The Bully card, light attributes are highlights your tendency to intimidate others, helps you confront the inner fears that bully you, and then the shadow attributes are conceals deep fear behind verbal or physical abuse. And then the Artist, the light attributes are expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. And then the shadow attributes are using talent as an excuse to mistreat others, posing as the starving artist to elicit pity. Okay, pile number 3. So it looks to me like you are sort of stuck in between two worlds or two groups of people. I feel like you're a very creative, artistic person. You might be a traditional artist, or you might just be an artistic thinker and you're innovating. You're coming up with solutions to problems and ways of seeing things that are outside the norm for the group that you're in, or potentially it's a totally new, energy that you're bringing into the earth. I think that you are someone who's extremely connected to your higher self, and you likely get a lot of downloads. You might not recognize that you are. It's just like this idea and that idea and that idea, and you're like, oh, I want to try them all. You might have more ideas than you have hours in the day, and I think you have a real passion for living. I think that that's part of why you're here. I think that's part of your life purpose, and definitely part of your life plan, to really live life to the fullest, to really experience what it is to be embodied, to be in the vessel, and to eat amazing food and have sensual relationships with people, and to, dress in a way that feels authentic to you, and really explore the natural environment. I think you're very in tune with the life force energy that's all around you, and that might add to your inspiration. I think that you have big dreams and big plans, and I think that intuitively you know that you're going to be a big success, but I don't think that everyone else around you also recognizes that in you. I think that they recognize that you're artistic, but I don't necessarily think that they believe in that as a pursuit to wealth or stability. I think that they think that you should go down a traditional path and then maybe do your artistic stuff on the side as a hobby, but you'll never be able to make enough money to, say, like, support a family or buy a house or have a car or, have all of the material things that they value and that they see as markers of success. And they may even be asking you questions about this and instilling fear in you. Or they might even be pushing it a little bit further and literally bullying you. Like, if you go to art school, then I'm disowning you. You're gonna pay for it all yourself. I'm not helping you with anything. That kind of energy. And I feel like this might be coming from like many different people, because you got the family card, but you also got the friends and lovers card. So this might have been disapproval from a lot of different people in your life, all questioning whether you have what it takes to really make it. But they're viewing this from such a limited perspective. One, they're basing it off of what their perception is of success in general. Like, they have this assumption that not a lot of people can make it. And that isn't necessarily true. And you might not have the same vision of what success is that they have, right? You might be on entirely different pages. Like, I get the sense that what they want and what they would consider a happy, balanced life is very different than what you would want. And I think you're listening to these people because obviously you have a close relationship with them, you love them, and you know that they want what's best for you. But I don't think that they have a clear idea of what is actually best for you. I think they're basing it off of what they think would be best for them, but they've also seemingly compromised themselves quite a bit. The energy I get is that they pursued things based on either the standards of the society they were in at the time or obligation. Like, oh, well, you know, my father took over the business from his father, so even though I literally hate what we do, what our business is, you know, we have this roofing business and I literally hate construction. I'll just do it anyways because my father did it, and so now it's my duty as well. Or maybe that's their expectation, that you will make a good living. Potentially for some of you, it's make a good living so that you can have enough money so that you can take care of them for the rest of their lives. And it's possibly something that they did when they were young. Like they think they have a lot of expectations of you is the energy I'm getting. But I feel like a lot of this has to do with you really like emerging from underneath the influence of other people and emancipating yourself. Not necessarily distancing yourself. It's kind of like you're being asked to make a choice. Are you going to go through with the rite of passage and walk through the portal, walk towards the light? You know, the vessel has the same like light at the end of the tunnel kind of energy. Or are you going to stay in the darkness? Because I think that if you continue to sort of compromise yourself and make these other people happy, you're going to end up being very unfulfilled. And for some of you, it might be a situation where you even start to manifest illnesses. You know, things will start to go sideways because you're meant to be a creative force. You're meant to be an innovator, and you're meant to be seen and stand out, and you're not meant to follow the same path as somebody else. You know, you are able to see more and sense more than other people. And I think that you're part of a wave of people that are going to be helping us to redirect towards a new way of structuring our lives and a new way of structuring business potentially, because business or the way we engage in our lives hasn't always existed the way we have it now. You know, the structure that is capitalism would love us to think that this is the way it's always been, but it is not always the way. It's not always been this way, and it definitely hasn't always been this way for all the groups that are in each country. There's plenty of communities that were much more rooted in communal living with the environment and the other plants and animals that inhabit spaces with us, in much more balanced in terms of respect for all members of the community, regardless of identity or gender, and much more creatively free and just happier, to be perfectly honest. It wasn't all structured around building financial wealth. And we've also had aspects of capitalism where it was also more balanced, you know, when we had stronger unions and when we had domestic production. And this isn't that long ago, 100 years ago, where we had actual artisans that were creating things of value that had longevity. Things were built to last because people paid more for them and they hung on to them and they made wise decisions. So there wasn't this throwaway attitude around things. And the history books have been rewritten so that younger generations don't recognize that it hasn't always been this way, you know? And there's this attitude of newer is better. No, newer is not necessarily better. You can see evidence of that all the time. Products that last like a year. And there is all kinds of innovations that are being made on all kinds of fronts, and they are creating more and more and more and more problems. So, you know, there's a certain amount of control that's lost with the system that we have right now. Specifically with people just being dissatisfied with their lives. Spending all of this time at an office. Didn't COVID give us an opportunity to really sort of wake up to this? Like spending all of this time and commuting to an office to never even see the sun because you're inside the entire day. And then maybe you get 30 minutes to an hour off for lunch. But even then, your bosses are expecting you to be at their beck and call no matter what. Or you are wanting to make positive changes and there's corruption within the business and everything is about greed and it's cutting corners and like there was a lot of that in my old career in fashion, lots of that, and it was devastating. It was one of the reasons why I walked away, even though it was scary, and I went down a different path. And I think that you want to do the same thing. You want to live a different life, but there's fear associated with it. But I feel like you're being guided to take that leap of faith, that you're being asked to walk through this threshold and take this rite of passage. You know, you don't recognize that you're actually in the darkness now and you're being asked to walk towards the light. Plant the seeds for the harvest that you want to reap. Financial gain usually comes from something you did in the past. So even if you can't move away from the mundane, right? Like the traditional job right now, start working every single day on what you want to be doing. Even if it's 5 minutes, that's enough, right? That adds up over time. Don't throw it all away because you don't have the abundance of time that you want to have. The more you start to prioritize it, the more the universe will shift things out of your life so that you have more time to dedicate to what you're meant to be doing. Because what you're meant to be doing is living an abundant life where you're able to indulge in all of the beautiful physical luxuries, to stand out and be a colorful example of living out loud, in tune with your own energy, and creatively free. And I know that by saying that, that probably sounds, and it would definitely sound to these other people that are pushing back against you, like that isn't something you can make money at. But I'm a living example of this fact, this being something that's possible. The fact that you can live a creative life and you can follow your passions and dreams, and you can definitely sustain yourself doing this 100%. And it's all a matter of being in tune with what your instincts are telling you. There was plenty of things that I was trying on my path to this point that were working and things that weren't working. And I often felt like I was a pinball, just like sort of bouncing off of the bumpers. But it was realigning me down the right path through that gateway. And you're going to be able to do that too. But I had to take a leap of faith. I had to have faith that this would turn into something. And it did. And it took me a while to get completely comfortable with it. Now I'm at a place where it's like, I just surrender. I just know that the universe is going to, make sure that it works out for me. All I have to focus on is continually doing the work. I work hard at what I do, and you're going to work hard too. But I don't spend any energy worrying about whether it's going to fail, because that's not what I want to manifest. I want to manifest this being able to be my full-time focus, 100%. Helping you guys, delivering messages to you, working with people one-on-one so that they can ignite that spirit inside themselves, so that they can recognize their own blessings and gifts, so they can fall into alignment with their own destiny. Right? Like I said at the beginning, I am here to deliver messages to you to help you awaken, heal, align, and grow. That is my mantra. That is what I am here to do. And I will do literally everything I need to do to make sure that that's what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And I'm not going to second guess it, because I know in my heart of hearts that's what I'm here to do. That is my divine purpose. And you have this same energy. Like, you know what you're meant to do. It's coursing through you. But I think you're getting distracted by other people and they're throwing you off track. So let's get some more cards and find out how you can release guilt. Let's find out how pile number 3 can release guilt. How can pile number 3 release guilt? Let's see. Okay. So, yes. You have been, your heart is calling you in a particular direction. The Ace of Cups. You definitely want to move in a particular direction. You know in your heart of hearts that you're going to be successful. It just is inside you. It's like you know. It's just, you don't have the proof of how you know. You just know. And you want to be able to dedicate all of your time and energy towards building this stability for yourself with the Four of Wands. But there are a lot of people around you that are either telling you that you don't have any of these insights. We've got the High Priestess here in reverse. That they're causing you to second guess your own intuition. They are battling you on what you are going to be doing in the future with the Five of Wands. They're like fighting everything. They have all of these arguments and all of these reasons why they think it's going to fail. And it's causing you to have a lot of guilty feelings, because I think they have expectations of the kind of abundant harvest you're going to create with the Four of Cups. Like, your intuition is telling you one thing, but you're looking at what's in front of you, and maybe you have invested some time and energy into being an artist or pursuing your dreams, and it hasn't worked out, which can be really, really discouraging. That is the other thing about having faith and, walk by faith, not by sight. There'll be all kinds of obstacles that come up. There was so many times at the beginning when I would do a video for you guys, and I still have a whole bunch of videos on my page, on my channel, that I think have such great messages in them, and nobody watched them, and I would go right from a lot of viewers to literally nobody watching them. like one video after another, and I couldn't understand it. And I know now, looking back, that it was created so I wouldn't be attached to the success based on numbers. I wouldn't be like, I would be still like, I do it because this is what I'm born to do. This is what I want to do. And I can't get attached to the numbers on like what the algorithm is creating for me, or you know what's going on with the YouTube algorithm, or what's going on with like any of that stuff. I can't attach anything to that. That can't be the bigger meaning behind why I do it. And then once I disassociated or I disconnected from that, all of a sudden things started to turn around. And I still try and not focus on that, right? And so you may have had failure and now you're feeling like, I don't know if this is going to work out. But it's a matter of you releasing the guilt that you have about taking steps forward towards your own happiness. You've got the Knight of Cups here, and turning it back upright. Like you're denying your own passions. You're denying what you truly want to do. And what you truly want to do is what's going to bring your harvest in. It's going to dispel all of your nightmares. The Three of Wands, and there is a dream catcher here at the center. And it looks like it might also be a sunflower. It's like an amalgamation of the two. Sunflowers are a symbol of abundance. All of your abundance is going to come towards you. All of the nightmares that you've been suffering from are going to dissipate. And you're going to have that balanced energy to move forward. But it takes a leap of faith. And you're going to have to be selfish is what's coming forward. You have to like put yourself first. You know, you don't have to live your life for somebody else, and you don't have to feel guilty choosing yourself. You don't have to take care of other people just because they have the expectation that you will. And of course, I'm not talking about your own children, but I mean like other adults that are fully capable of taking care of themselves, whether that is parents or partners or friends or coworkers, bosses, whoever it is. You don't owe these people anything. You only owe yourself, and of course children, that kind of dedication. If anything, do it for your children if you have them, because it's a good, you'd be delivering a beautiful message for them. You'd be a great role model. Sorry, I just want to get one more candle. I don't like to do the readings unless I have a candle going. Okay, so yeah, you're being called to just move past the guilt. There's nothing to feel guilty for. There is no shame in you pursuing the things that you love. And test it out little by little. Try it. Plant a couple of seeds. See where it goes. You don't have to dive entirely in, but I think that by allowing yourself to indulge in the things that you love, you'll start to see more abundance come towards you. The universe will meet you halfway is what I'm being told. So now let's find out how you can release shame. Oh boy. How can pile number 3 release shame? Okay. All right. So it looks to me like you might have some shame associated with just being your authentic self, is the energy that I'm getting. I think that you are quite unique and different. It might mean that you're quite bohemian and you want to live an entirely different lifestyle, or there is just something fundamentally very unique and different that sets you apart from the other people around you. And I think that when you express how you see the world, the Ace of Swords, how you see things and how you want to grow and shift and change, your vision of what the future could look like with the Fool, people have literally tried to silence you, like really tried to like knock you down. The Five of Swords. And the energy that I get from the Five of Swords is that this is petty battle energy. Like they're trying to cut you down even though their argument doesn't benefit them. You know, this is a situation where, you know, people trying to keep communities at a disadvantage, even if marginalizing people has no positive impact on their lives. You know, like it's really sad. It might be like your parents, like wanting you to do a particular thing, but it doesn't benefit them because it makes you unhappy and it makes you resent them. You know, it's really sad. And you have a lot of shame. Maybe this is a situation where people have judged you for the way you identify, your sexual orientation, or some other aspect of yourself. Like you've definitely had something that's caused you deep pain and depression, like your worst nightmares being realized. And it's caused you to have a lot of shadow energy as a result. So this might be a situation where people have judged you and you have so much shame and guilt that you've sort of pushed that into the shadows and you don't even want to admit that to yourself. But it's your greatest gifts. It's your greatest gifts. It's your beauty and your talent and your uniqueness, and it's creating more unhappiness for you because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you're telling yourself that you're not worthy or you're not valued or there's something damaged or broken about you because of this thing that other people are judging. And then you're magnetizing more people and situations to you that won't accept you for who you are. And you're being asked to really self-reflect. Start asking yourself, why do you feel shame about this? You know, why? Where does that come from? Is it because it is harming you in some way? Is it harming someone else? Because that's my bar, right? You know, let your freak flag fly. I don't give an F about what you do, as long as you're not hurting anyone. Like that is my witchy ethos. Harm none. If you don't harm anyone, do whatever you want. But that's my rule. You can't harm anyone. And so if you're not harming anyone, then what's to feel shame about, right? That you're different from other people? Of course. You know, that's what makes the world an abundant place. I've mentioned this before, but our ecosystem, we have to have diversity. If we don't have diversity in the ecosystem dies. People are exactly the same. We're meant to be diverse. We're here to be diverse and unique and different so that we play different roles. There's 7 different colors in the rainbow, right? We're meant to be different. You don't have to all be the same. And I think that your guides are communicating with you and they're going to ask you to start moving forward and taking a risk and taking a chance, right? The Goof of Cups, which is the Page of Cups. Move towards your happiness. If it's making you feel good and you're not hurting anyone, then it's not wrong. And there's no reason to feel shame. There's no reason to feel feelings of doubt either, is what I'm getting. That I feel like if you allowed yourself to release the shame and like really indulge in who you authentically are, who is your inner child? Because your inner child is literally the most authentic version of you. And I don't mean the parts of you that ended up feeling hurt and damaged as a result of other people around you. Like when you were a kid, what did you want to do? Did you want to like just dance and sing and put on plays and like, you know, talk about your favorite TV shows? Were you wanting to create artwork? Like what did you want to do? Because that is the key to where you're supposed to go. Like when I was a little girl, I was adamant that I wanted to be a teacher and I wanted to help people. I wanted to basically be special needs teacher for kids that had ADHD. I wanted to help kids that were like me. And that's exactly what I do now, right? And it took me a long time to realize, like, oh my God, I'm literally doing exactly what I wanted to do as a kid. But of course, as a child, I wouldn't have ever thought this would all fit together, right? Like, I wanted to be a witch. I wanted to be I wanted to have magic around me at all times, and I wanted to help people and be a teacher. And like, whatever it is that your inner child wants you to do, that's what your destiny is. That's what you're meant to do. And there can be no shame in that, because that is why you were born. So now let me find out some guidance for you on how you can release self-blame. How can pile number 3 release self-blame? Okay, pile number 3. So you've got the 10 of Wands, King of Swords, 5 of Pentacles, 7 of Swords in reverse, 6 of Cups, Page of Swords, and the 9 of Swords. So this is indicating that a lot of the pain that you have, actually, the shame and the self-blame, are all linked with your thoughts and your way of communicating, because they're all swords. So it looks to me like you might have sort of inflicted the same sort of like self-limiting beliefs that you're sort of suffering with on others. The 6 of Cups can be talking about people from the past, and of course the Page of Cups can also be talking about a young person who is just learning how to like effectively communicate, and possibly even learning how to balance out their emotions with their logic mind. And it looks to me like now you've grown into a place, the King of Swords, where you're a little more equipped, and you're recognizing that maybe in the past you harshly judged people, or you said things that hurt other people, and you did it because you were also in a place of pain. You've got the 9 of Swords, so you've had that twice now. Deep pain, sorrow, grief, your worst nightmares coming true, but it can be self-fulfilling prophecy where we are creating some of these nightmares because we're worrying about what the outcome might be. You might have been under a lot of stress. There was a lot of burdens on your shoulders, or a lot of expectations, and you didn't necessarily know how you were going to escape and move towards your north node, like your divine purpose, and transition into a new cycle through the threshold. You've got 2 cards here that have very similar energy because of the similar images coming out of the darkness into the light. And I think that it might have been a situation where basically you had a dream, you didn't believe in yourself, and someone else had a dream, and instead of supporting them because you felt so bad about yourself, you discouraged them as well, or you made fun of them, or you had some of this bullying energy. And it all came from this energy of poverty mindset. And now you're realizing that maybe you were a little bit manipulative, maybe you were a little bit deceptive, maybe you didn't have this person's best interest at heart, or you were pulling the strings to get what you wanted, and you feel a lot of guilt about that. There's like, you're blaming yourself for that. I think that basically you are recognizing that you're guilty of some of the things that are being inflicted on you. But I don't think you're that person any longer. I don't think that you're there I don't think you're that person any longer. I don't think that you judge people the same way now. And we've all come from a place of shadow. We've all come from a place of shadow where we've made mistakes and we've done the wrong things and we've thought about things in a limiting way, and we've evolved and changed. That's part of why we're here. That's part of being human, and that is why you're here, is to indulge in beauty. And I can never pick these up. To indulge in beauty and all of the beautiful abundance of being alive. And that also means being fallible and making mistakes. And you can release yourself from the self-blame. There's no reason to be hard on yourself because that's in the past. And I've said this in all three piles, but it is absolutely true for all of you, that sometimes we are kept in a place of darkness, or we're shielded from information that might help us to gain insight and grow, because it's our role to be the villain. Not everyone is going to resonate with you, and that might be by design, because no one comes into this world and they are literally the villain all the way through. Now, there's some people that get pretty close, but everyone has experienced being the victim at some point. And so you might have been playing this role for these people in the past so that you could help them to stand up in their power and emancipate themselves and release the self-limiting beliefs and emerge as their authentic self. Just like the people that are bullying you are igniting that energy inside you, igniting that spark. So forgive yourself, and maybe to a certain degree you can forgive these other people that are putting pressure on you. I'm not saying that you should listen to what they're saying. I don't necessarily think that you should. I mean, you can interact with them and stuff, but I would kind of be like, just smile and nod and go and do whatever you want to do, right? You don't have to get in deep with them about it. Now, of course, if they are paying for school or they're supporting you in some way, you might need to come up with a plan B, but you can ask spirit for help in that regards. You don't have to do everything all at once, but there's no need to feel guilty or shame or blame yourself. You are doing everything that you're meant to. Now is the time for you to start having more fulfillment is what's coming forward. So now let me get you some final cards from your ancestors on guidance towards healing. What final guidance do you have? Okay. So you got celebrations. Celebrate your achievements. You truly are a gift to the universe. Yes! Celebrate. Indulge in the things that you love. I know that it might seem scary, but it definitely gets easier. And it is scary initially, but it's so much better to go through that fear than to just be heartbroken every day because you have to get up and go to a job that you absolutely hate. And maybe it has nothing to do with career. Maybe none of this has anything to do with career. Whatever it is, follow your heart and celebrate your successes. That'll also keep you at a high vibration and help you to manifest even more. Try and get out of your logic mind. Sometimes when you're ruminating, you're way too in your logic mind, and you're a naturally creative, artistic person. So you need to get more into your heart space. Meditate with a piece of rose quartz if you can, or clear quartz. This is rose quartz. And try and relax, maybe meditate in the bath to help cleanse out that low vibrational energy, because when you get into the ruminating, that's when you get into this vicious cycle. Okay, strength. You're being guided by the cosmos. Stay strong. A positive outcome is assured. If you knew that you would be successful 100%, would you still be holding back on taking steps forward? Because that is what that card is telling you. 100% you're guaranteed success. It doesn't mean it's all going to be success just non-stop from this point on. There's still going to be hiccups, but ultimately it's mainly going to be success. Starseed, raise the vibration of the planet through your radiant loving light. What did I say? Yes, this is your divine purpose. You're a starseed. You're here to raise the vibration of the planet through your radiant loving light. You're supposed to do that by creating beauty and artistry and be an innovative thinker, being more in tune with the nature around you and your life force energy, and creating a life based on your terms, not on what society has already built. Gratitude, universal love shines through the miracles of life all around you. Yes, focus on what is working out for you. Find something small that you can be grateful for every single day. It doesn't matter how small, that will definitely start to tip the balance in your favor. And also you can build your entire life around that, right? We're marketed to at every single point in the day, trying to convince us that we need to buy and consume and invest in all of these different things, when really we need so little to truly be happy. So tune into that energy. Reflection, see all aspects of yourself through the reflection of the one who mirrors your hidden self. Okay, so this is saying, look at your triggers. So when you get triggered by somebody else, stop, pause, reflect. Take a time out. You don't need to do this with the other person there. Take a time out and ask yourself, okay, that really made me upset. Why did it make me upset? What am I feeling right now? You know, what other thoughts are connected to this feeling I am having? And really try and push yourself to really go as deep as you can. Then ask yourself, when was the last time I felt this way? And it will take you back to an earlier memory. Then maybe go in a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. You might find that this goes all the way back to some experience that you had in elementary school or when you were a child. And that's where the core of the pain comes from. You can try and heal it and release it, but just understanding it empowers you so that no one can use that trigger against you in the future, right? Now, some of these things that you're being triggered by are legitimately problems right now, and it has nothing to do with the past, but you should at least explore it so you know, and it will help you to feel more grounded. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading. This was so powerful. I would love to know what your thoughts are if you feel like sharing. And if you like the reading, if you could give it a thumbs up, that would be pretty amazing. I would really, really enjoy that. And if any of you guys are interested in working with me one-on-one, you could go to my website, odessamall.com. All of my services and booking information are available there. I do tarot card readings, spiritual coaching, Reiki, channel messages from your spirit guides, and past life readings. So this has been so powerful. I would love to know about how you guys are sharing your artistry. Like, are you painting? Are you making music? Are you just thinking really interesting, new, innovative ideas? Or do you have a business idea? You don't have to tell me all the details. I'm just curious about how people are sharing their artistry. And I find it really interesting. I think you guys don't realize that there's a lot of people that read the comments and it helps them to feel like they're part of a community. They might not have the courage to write in the comments themselves, but they read your comments and they feel very inspired by it. And if you feel comfortable sharing and just saying I'm an artist in this way, or I'm an artist in that way, you have no idea how many people you might be touching by that, where they might have been thinking, oh, I'm not an artist, until someone else writes I make bread and I am experimenting with all different types of bread baking. And then they're like, oh my God, I do that too. I'm an artist. We can help each other in such you know, little ways, like you can take like a couple of minutes out of your day just to share something like that, and it can literally seed the light. It can literally change someone's life. And I know this because people tell me this when I work with them one-on-one. So, you know, if you feel like sharing that or any other message of love and encouragement, I feel like it could really help this group. So thank you so much. It was such a pleasure working with you guys and channeling these messages. I hope I see you in the next reading. Have a wonderful day or night. Take care.